All right, Keto and Steer Trader back with another video on all in versus baby steps risk management choices. So we're going to compare two traders here. First, we have Thomas, who's a scalper who goes all in. He risks 100% of his account using a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. He wants to grow his account as fast as possible, and he does have the disposable income to do so. He has a goal of getting his account to $1,000. That's his goal. Now, Jacob is an intraday trader who aims for a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio, and sometimes he actually doesn't even set a TP because he doesn't want to cap his upside. He's more meticulous in his risk, but he always caps his downside at 5%. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he has saved up a decent amount to start up his account. He does also pyramid or add into his winners, and while keeping the same downside. So we'll give Thomas a 50% win rate because he's using 1-to-1, and we'll give Jacob a 40% win rate because his win rate is higher, or sorry, his risk to reward is higher. Because typically, if you go to 1-to-3 or 1-to-5, typically you win less trades, but you could possibly make more money. So there's how they both traded. I'm going to show one chart and just an example. So what Jacobs does is this. Jacobs enters a position on a 1-to-2 with a 15 pip stop loss and a 30 pip take profit. Now this will be this trade right here to the left, but when he entered it, the stop loss was much higher. It was 15 pips higher. This is at about a 7 right now. I can't show you in real time because this is a picture, but when he gets another entry signal to enter the trade, enter his second position, he'll enter another position and then he'll take this stop loss down, and this stop loss will just be a bit smaller because he's looking for straight line price action. But the total between these two trades is still 5%. So let's just say, for example, just to make this simple, if he, let's just say hypothetically, has a $100 account, 5% of 100 is $5, right? So he'll risk 5 on this one to try to make 10. Okay, risk 5 to make 10, 1-to-2, right? When he takes another position, he'll risk the same 5 here, but he'll bring this stop loss down so that it equals 250, and he manipulates this stop loss here so that it's also 250 as well. So I'm sorry, it's not the same 5, but it's actually like 250. So he'll risk 250 here. That's what this stop loss would equal. He has to calculate it. And 250 over here. So $2.50 stop loss here. This stop loss here will be worth $2.50. So 250 plus 250 is $5. But this time he'll try to make more than the $10. He can maybe like 15, 17, something like that. And that's how he wants to go from making, risking 5% to get 10% to risking 5% to make possibly like 15%, 17%, 20%, maybe more, right? So I hope that makes sense to you, okay? But he always caps his downside, and he'll either keep the take profits the same, or he'll just not even set a take profit and see how far the price can go. Because obviously, just in this one example, it went much further. Now, Thomas rather is simply just 1-to-1 all in. He'll take one entry, stop loss. Let's just say it's 15 pips and 15 pips, and he's got a 50-50 shot, right? It's going to hit one or the other. But again, he tries to set his stop loss where it's far enough away that he can get out early. So he never tries to lose the whole account, but that's just how he trades. So he trades 1-to-1, same distance to each profit level or stop loss level, and then he just sees what happens. But this was a case of a winner, and that's it. So there we go. So phase one, what I did just to structure this was just put both traders on a straight up losing streak. And then on the backside of their 10 trades or so, I'm going to give them a winning streak. So I'm not going to read every single line here. You can pause to check it out. This is, again, all hypothetical. Okay, this isn't financial advice, just for entertainment purposes. But so Thomas went with a 1-to-1. He lost all of his trades. Okay, he lost $60 here, $20 here, $30 here. So Thomas, in order to keep his starting balance of $100, he has to make deposits, right? Because it has to be worth his while. So if he loses enough sizable enough chunk of his account, he'll just make a deposit because, again, he has the disposable income to do so, to keep his account balance at 100 so he can get it on a good run and try to run it up to 1,000. So every time his account gets below a certain balance, he'll just top it off at 100 and then keep going. No different than like resetting a prop firm account. Now, Jacob has a starting balance of $500, and he risks 5% of his account going for 1-to-2. So he has a string of $25 losses and then drop down to $23 and $22 down here. So after he loses 6 trades in a row, because remember he has a 40% win rate, his balance is $355. And after Jacob takes about 5 trades in a row, his new balance is $100, but he had to deposit $40 here, and he had to make it up. I'm sorry, he had to deposit $80 here, and he had to deposit $70 here, okay, because he had to top it off. All right, now let's get to the wins. So Thomas, remember he's 1-to-1 with 100%. So on his first win, he turns 100 to 200. Then he turns 200 to 400 because remember he's all in, okay, 1-to-1. And then he risks 400 to make 800. Now, because he's so close to his goal here at 800 bucks, he'll risk just 200 to try to make 200, and that gets him to the $1,000. All right. So in 4 trades, he turned 100 bucks into 1,000 bucks. Will it happen exactly like this? No. Okay. Typically not. That is typically though, or pretty much the way he needs it to go is he has to get on a streak, and his trades have to hit. Now, is it possible though to win 4 trades in a row? Yeah, it's you can get some good pairs. Yes, it's not impossible to do that. It's really not. All right, but that's how I just wanted to do it. Okay, now with Jacob though, Jacob is down to 355 if my memory serves. He continued to risk 5% of his account. However, he starts to get some bigger wins now because he's scaling in. So his first win is worth 72 bucks because he has 2 entries. The next one is worth 120, so now he's at 547. His next trade is at 210. He has 2 entries, and remember, sometimes he doesn't even set a take profit, so he opens himself up to bigger wins sometimes when he really gets a good trending pair. And then his last trade is worth 170, which takes his total balance up to 927. All right, so he went from 355. He started at 500, went down to 355, and then grew it up to 927. Okay, so that's how it goes. It took a dip and then it went up. All right, so that's that. Okay, but a big part of that though was what he was doing back here. He was kept not right here. He was capping his downside and allowing his upside to be possibly worth more than 1 to 2 sometimes, not all the time. So it's discretionary. It's dynamic risk management, is what I'm saying. So the numbers. Thomas started with Thomas in total put in $250 into the market. His total profits were 750 because he went to the 1,000. So some of the pros were for trading the way Thomas did. It does give you faster growth. It sticks to a simple system, and he doesn't stress about trying to calculate risk like Jacob does because it's all about I'm all in. All right, so that's it. There is no calculating and trying. No, he's like, hey, look, 100%, I'm all in. Let's go. Jacob, on the other hand, he deposited 500. His total profit was 427 because he grew up to 927. He got steady, consistent growth. He managed to compound his profits, which made for exponential gains, and he had very low downside. Okay, because that does give you less stress because the losses will come. So losing 25 bucks isn't a big deal. Losing 100, that can hurt. Okay. So as far as the cons of how they did it, Thomas' risk of ruin or blowing his account is much higher because any one trade could have killed his account. I've been in trades plenty of times where price just spikes out of nowhere and hits my stop loss. Because his stop loss is worth 100% of his account, he's on edge. Okay, that can be very stressful. Most people cannot stomach big losses. Imagine being up to 500 bucks and then you lose it all in one trade because of some fluke. Okay, it can happen, right? So the risk of boom and bust cycles can be very depressing. What do I mean by that? Constantly making deposits to make sure that your account is big enough to trade to try to do what Thomas is doing. Okay, very risky. For Jacob, his cons were the account equity can't get stuck in consolidation. So you win, lose, and you feel like you're not making any money. You're like jogging in place. The growth can be slower. And sometimes when trading like Jacob, it can lead to greed because while he was doing 2 positions, what happens if you want to put 4 positions or 5 positions? Because you can't, it's harder to calculate the risk and keep the risk fixed the more positions that you're adding. So the thing is that 2 positions in this case is definitely the best, but adding more when it works phenomenally. But again, if price spikes against you and you have like 5 positions on, you can get caught up in some slippage and you can lose a good chunk of your account too. So you have to be very disciplined to trade in a way like Jacob did. So in conclusion, the majority of people should trade like Thomas for the sake of the mental side and persisting through downsides or drawdowns of trading. The minority of people who have the disposable income and stick to a plan, they can do Jacob's method, but please understand that that's just temporary. Okay, if Jacob's side was easy, if it was easy to trade like Jacob and always turn $100 into 1,000, then every trader would be making 6-7 figures. Because hey, if I just risk 100% of my account every time and get in a good enough streak, I can turn $1,000 into $1 million. Okay, I wouldn't try that. Okay, now there's 2 categories that you could put accounts to. If you have a big account and take low risk, that's the ideal path, right? If you have a small account, if you take a temporary big risk as a last resort, that's understandable. As long as you understand that it's just temporary. I would compare that to working overtime at a job. I've had jobs in the past where Christmas time was our peak season, so I would work longer hours, but it was temporary. I didn't want to work 8, 9, 10, 12 hours every single day of the year. It was just understandable that, okay, for this fixed period of time, I'm going to put in extra effort to make more money. But that's it. So that's how I would look at a small account with big risk. It's just temporary to get a certain dollar goal. And then once I reach the goal, that's it. Then I don't have to work as hard, right? So that's the deal with that. Now, if you have a small account and taking low risk, you can see that as a waste of time. Some people may not, but if I have $100 account and I'm making 5% of that, which is $5, that's not worth it to me. I'm sorry. I didn't do all the studying to make $5 on the trade. I'm sorry. That's just, and I don't mean to insult anyone. It's just, that's not the way I care to trade. And then if you have a big account but high risk, that's a terrible idea because you'll be broke in no time flat. If you have $1,000 account and you risk 1,000 and you risk 1,000, try to make 1,000, the market will gladly take that money. So again, you got to do what's best for you. This is just two models. These aren't the only risk management models that you can toy with, but it's one way to do that. If you're noise, that's my dryer. So definitely sorry about that. I'm watching close, but I appreciate your time and attention and have a great rest of your day.